Laura, how does this work?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. So this is a parcel of land in the northwest corner of Nevada, just outside of Reno. And the CEO of a company called Blockchains, Jeffrey Berns, is someone who's all about cryptocurrency, the decentralized, network-based digital technology that the listeners have just been hearing about, including Bitcoin. And he envisions building a city that uses Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies like it to allow for many of the functions that you'd find in a regular city, whether that's buying groceries or paying for gas or acquiring your personal identification card or even paying sales tax. And he envisions a city with more than 36,000 residents, 15,000 homes, and an economic output of $16 billion over the next 75 years.
And I mean, some of those photos that we were showing were just incredible. And what I love about these segments that we get to do with you, Laura, is I really got my start in muni bonds, where it's the traditional way that you build cities and roads and bridges, and you do economic development zones. And I'm reading the story and I see, lo and behold, there's an innovation zone. What would be in a blockchain innovation zone?
Right. So that is one of the interesting pieces about this proposal, which is just a proposal right now, right? I mean, Blockchains owns this parcel of land, and they're very much hoping to build. But to do it, they say that they would actually need a new kind of government entity. And so they've written some draft legislation that's now circulating in the Nevada State House to set up what are called innovation zones, which would basically allow any applicant from the private sector that is investing in emerging technologies like Bitcoin or others to develop a mixed-use community and gradually gaining control over schools and utilities and all the kind of public services that you'd normally associate with like a county. And it sounds pretty off the wall, right? But it's actually very highly supported by Democratic Governor Steve Sisolak in Nevada, who sees it as a way to diversify the state's economy, especially after COVID-19. Nevada's really taken that hard this year.
So the governor on board, what about local leaders? Because they represent the local people on the ground.
Yeah, actually the county leaders where Blockchains owns most of this land are not on board. They are not interested in having a rival county government, which is effectively what this would be. I think the CEO would say that it's necessary basically to be able to set up a kind of new form of government that relies on blockchain sort of from the ground up. I think there's other questions that get raised when you have a private company essentially taking the role of government. Like, you might think about the 19th and early 20th century company towns when we had timber companies and mining companies building and running towns sort of like their own local governments. But, in many of those cases, you had kind of these worker residents who didn't always have the same kinds of rights and protections, right, that you would normally expect from a government.